生态我百节赞，当面我接生气情安，listen to pay attention.
We are going to start looking at how to collect data. Our first option is to collect data in such a way that it can produce a biased sample. The data in the sample is not random and does not represent the population. The first type of data collection that can produce a biased sample is a survey. Researchers question a small group of people to learn about the population. To help prevent bias, one should randomize how the data is collected and try to ensure the sample represents the population. On average, the sample will look like the population. Also, carefully consider the sample size. A larger sample helps protect against bias. If you sample everyone, then you get what is called a census. Problems with surveys are non-response bias. Sometimes people won't mail back the forms, undercoverage, and sometimes certain sectors of the population are missed. A second type of data collection that can produce a biased sample is a census. It's basically a survey that tries to ask everyone in the population. It's hard to complete because it's hard to contact every member of a population. Another problem is that the population will change before the researcher can complete a census. Additional considerations are that a census can overcount or undercount the population. You may wonder how it would overcount. Sometimes people will get questioned twice. Finally, there is the problem of a non-response bias. Sometimes people do not return the census. The third type of data collection that can produce a biased sample is a convenience sample. Many of us are guilty of using this method of data collection. We ask people who stop by. We just ask people we know. We look around and notice what we can observe. Convenience samples save time and resources, but the samples are neither random nor representative of the population. Rather, the data tends to be homogeneous. The people we encounter all tend to be alike in a certain manner because there's a common underlying factor that they share. We cannot place a lot of confidence in these results, regardless how many people are asked. The main problem is undercoverage. We are not getting a representative and random sample of the population. My father forwarded me this email, and I'd like to know as we read through it if you can identify which sampling technique was used and some possible issues. In 1919, when the flu killed 40 million people, there was this doctor that visited many farmers to see if he could help them combat the flu. Many of the farmers and their families had contracted it and died. The doctor came upon this one farmer, and to his surprise, everyone was very healthy. When the doctor asked what the farmer was doing that was different, the wife replied that she had placed an unpeeled onion in a dish in the rooms of the home, probably only 2 rooms back then. The doctor couldn't believe it and asked if he could have one of the onions and place it under the microscope. She gave him one, and when he did this, he did find the flu virus in the onion. It absorbed the bacteria, therefore keeping the family healthy. Now, I heard this story from my hairdresser. She said that several years ago, many of her employees were coming down with the flu, and so were many of her customers. The next year, she placed several bowls with onions around in her shop. To her surprise, none of her staff got sick. It must work. Try it and see what happens. We did it last year and we never got the flu. Another thing was that onions and garlic placed around the room saved many from the Black Plague years ago. They have powerful antibacterial, antiseptic properties. So coming back to my question to you, can you identify which sampling technique was used? In this case, it would be a convenience sample. I have placed in bold issues with this method of data collection. Right here. It must work. Try it and see what happens. We did last year and we never got the flu. They have just sampled people they know. In another place, the doctor only sampled one farmer that he knew. He is only sampling the people that he was in contact with. The doctor's sample is not random and may not represent the population. There are more types of data collection that can produce a biased sample. Surveys, censuses, and convenience samples are the only 3 methods that we will study.